we have the case of the nomination of Craig Becker to the National Labor Relations Board. Now, it's a very, very normal nomination. There's nothing particularly objectionable about Becker. I'm going to tell you the Republicans' objections to him in a second. But people say that, not people say, it is true that at this point in Bush's administration, 4 different Bush nominees had not been confirmed yet. Now, 4 nominees not confirmed over a year into his term, well, that's, you wish that everybody would get confirmed by then, or not get confirmed and get taken down and somebody new comes up, and that they would be resolved by then. 4, that's, you can say it's a bad number, but it's obviously a tiny, tiny number. And maybe that's how filibuster should be used, rare exceptions. Guess how many nominees of Obama have been held up so far at this same juncture? 60. So, Democrats had held up 4 Bush nominees. Republicans held up 60 Obama nominees. Now, so when you go to Craig Becker and you say, all right, well, what's their main beef against him? I mean, he must be, extreme, right? Well, Mike Enzi, for lack of a better argument, gives these 2 arguments, and he's a Republican senator from Wyoming. He says, first of all, there are too many questions about Becker. Now, who's asking the questions? Well, here's the ironic and funny part. Enzi. Here's his quote. If a nominee garners a greater level of public scrutiny and larger than usual volume of questions, we should ask why. This unique scrutiny should be a signal that the individual has raised a great level of concern and controversy. But Enzi's the one that submitted the hundreds of questions in the first place. So that is an awesome piece of circular reasoning. Well, I submitted hundreds of questions to him. He didn't answer them wrong. It's not that he didn't answer them or that he gave bad answers. It's just, by the very fact that I submitted all these questions, you have to wonder what's wrong with a candidate like this. Now, does that make sense to any of you? I mean, if it does, then you're a Republican, because that logic escapes me, right? The second problem Enzi has is he says, look, we don't want this thing rushed through the Senate. He was brought up for nomination in April of 2009. What part of that is rushed? Okay. Sherrod Brown came out and gave a very strong speech saying enough is enough here in response to all of this. And he said even a half-dead organization would consider that pace anything but lethargic. Okay. So come on, let's go, let's go. Holding all these things up is ridiculous. And they have no real complaint against him. In fact, if you believe him, the Service Employees International Union president, Andy Stern, and now he's a liberal and he's on the progressive side, right? He says that Becker is someone who is, quote, respected by management and labor side attorneys, by academics, liberals, and conservatives alike. Now, that's one side saying, hey, everybody likes him. But there really, on the other side, is no case to be made. There is no, hey, this is what we don't like about him, or here are the list of conservatives who are against him for this reason or that reason. Nothing on the other side. Why? Because, as we all know, it's obstructionism. They just want to slow everything to a halt. They want to slow down Obama's agenda in every way possible, and they want to give him 0 votes no matter what the situation is, right? But then the government can't do its job. But you see, that's exactly what the Republicans want, for 2 reasons. One, they don't want a Democratic government to do its job because they don't agree with it, right? Now, if they're following the regular rules and they have the votes to stop it, okay, that makes sense. That's how democracy works. But in Becker's case, they put him up for a vote. He won 52-33. That's a huge majority that he won by. Except he didn't win because they filibustered him. So the side with the 33 votes beat the side with the 52 votes. How's that democracy? That's crazy. Now, that's crazy if you do it in one case. It's totally unacceptable if you do it in every case. Now, we can't have this. So now the Democrats are rightfully saying, hey, look, if you're going to do this to everybody, and this is a total, Pat Leahy said, I've been here over 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. Filibusters are supposed to be something that is extraordinary. Now it is quite literally ordinary because they do it in almost every instance. Well, okay, then obviously you got to look into, if they're going to abuse the process, how do we change these rules? And that's a good question. You would begin that next January. You couldn't do it now, okay, when a new Congress is convened. Now, could you do it in a simple majority? Well, it depends. Now, in order to change the Senate rules, you need 67 votes, which you're never going to get. Okay, those days are long gone. That was back in the days, and Walter Mondale originally changed the filibuster rules. Remember, the filibuster is not in the Constitution. It's Senate rules. And it got changed on a couple of occasions, and in the 1970s, Mondale actually led the charge to change it to make it only 60 votes that you need rather than 2/3, right? So, but you need 2/3 to change the rule, which is never going to happen under these circumstances. It's not like the old days when you can get Republicans and Democrats to switch sides. Well, Democrats switch sides at the drop of a hat, but you can't get the Republicans to switch sides, right? So how do we do it then? Well, the way around that is a new proposal by the Democrats saying, hey, you know what? We could change how many votes it takes to change a Senate rule. So by a simple majority of 51 votes, we could say, you know what? You no longer need 2/3 majority to change any of the Senate rules, including the filibuster rule. You know what? That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, I want to protect the rights of the minority in the Senate. Okay, I think the filibuster is not that bad an idea overall. The question is, how do we use it? Because don't forget, Democrats are in the majority now. They could easily be in the minority. And when the Republicans have a majority, and there is no filibuster, they will steamroll everything. They'll change every single thing you imagine instantly in the country within the first week. Okay, they're not going to be like the Democrats lollygagging around, right? So there's value in the filibuster, and you have to think about it long term. You know, they want to change it. Harkin has a proposal to start with 60 and then 57, 55, 51, instead of work your way down, and the more time you take to debate the issue. You know, my thought on it is maybe 55 senators is reasonable. So that protects the rights of the minority still very significantly, but at least it gets you a reachable goal. The Republicans can reach it if they have a big enough majority. Democrats can reach it if they have a big enough majority. But 60 is just undoable. It's far, far too large. So then you can't get anything passed if one side decides to abuse it. But there are a lot of proposals, but whereas before I would have said, hey, you know what, I'm not sure you should go down that path. Now I think, well, if it's going to be abused in this way and you literally can't get anything done in the Senate, well, then you have to look for a way to fix it. And maybe in January, some of these ideas should be considered.